Welcome to Talking Awe. Elections passed. I'm not the mayor. Oh well. It was fun. Uh, hey, and 251 votes. Not bad. Somebody told me that was like 16%, which is, you know, among the national candidates for president, that's way better than some of those percentage wise. So, I'm not complaining. Uh, Although I did go on a field shoot with Chris and Kendall for Town Crier on Wednesday, and I congratulated Kendall and all, and he said, "So, where do you want me to appoint you?" I said, "Wait a minute, I lost the race. I'm done. I gave politics a try. Oh well." He said no, he'd like to appoint me to a committee. So I'm looking into the different committees, trying to figure out maybe where I might be able to put my vast amount of knowledge to use. So anyway, it was a good election, I guess, as far as elections go. Basically, I guess predictable, except for Ward 2, where Bettina Chadbourne beat out Pamela Russell Slack. So, what can you say? That's town politics, changing all the time. And so, anyway, let me talk about the reason that you didn't see a new show the night before elections with my last pleas for your votes. And it's a little story involving Mr. Murphy. You know, the guy with the laws. And let me tell you, I am all about, like, life as a learning process. So, I learned a few things this past weekend. For one thing, I never make real, like, tight plans. Because I know, I've been around, no matter how great your plans are, something always interferes, screws them up. So I just fly by the seat of my pants most of the time. But I have a general idea of what I want to do and what I want to accomplish. So, last week's goal was to go to Bar Harbor, Maine, up into Acadia National Park, and shoot some pictures. Sounds easy, right? Especially for me. I love to drive. I got new tires middle of last week. Thursday, I think I did. And I wanted to leave for Bar Harbor Friday right after work. So, come to find out, I had a crack in one of my rims that needed to get fixed. Couldn't get it fixed on Friday. So, what do? I went to my good buddy Ed Trombley over at USAVE, because that's the place I go. Ed, can you rent me a vehicle to go up north? No problem. Got the rental vehicle. Bang. On my way. I got up to Bar Harbor, and now this place is beautiful. I should have investigated the area a little more before I went up there, but like I said, I fly by the seat of my pants, especially first time I go any place to take pictures. It's a you get what you find kind of a thing. So I got up into Acadia National Park. I stopped at a few places, shot the sunrise. Went to a place called Schooner Head Overlook, shot some stuff there. Went down to a place called Sand Beach. Beautiful little, I mean, there's rocks, there's beach, there's like a dune area, but you got to kind of stay away from the dunes because they're very fragile, and you wouldn't want to mess up the ecosystem. So, Shot a bunch of pictures down there on the beach. Some nice stuff. Went back up to get in the van. Now this is where I'm going to have a problem because I'm all over Chrysler. This van I rented was a Chrysler. All right? At some point, I believe it was a 2007 van. So at some time, somebody in Chrysler went, hey, you know what would be cool is if we had a key for the van that had all the little security button stuff, like the fob that you have. Only instead of having to have a separate key once you use the fob to get into the car, use a key to put it in the dash and start it. Oh no, some brainchild came up with the idea, let's make a plastic chip that will go into the dash, and apparently the thing in the dash reads some stuff on there, and then you can start the vehicle. Guess what? The system failed. I'm at Sand Beach in Acadia National Park. I've got, I'm 18 miles from anything. Half of a bar reception on my cell phone. And of course, where this was a one-day trip, I didn't have my cell phone charger. I didn't have, I only had my one-day supply of medicines, so I don't have another heart attack, I had plenty of clothes because I have learned that when I go shooting pictures like that, I take a bunch of layers because you never know what the weather's going to be like, when it's going to change, and whatnot. But as far as other stuff, my hairbrush, I didn't bring my hairbrush because who needs a hairbrush for one day? So I end up getting the van towed out of there to, for those of you who don't know Maine, Maine is all rural. People kept saying that to me up there. You're in rural Maine. And I'm like, well, where is not rural Maine? Rural Maine is everywhere. But anyway, the van got towed to the only place that was open, which was a VIP auto place. They couldn't fit it in on Saturday because they were jam-packed with stuff. They got it in on Sunday because, again, the only place open on Sunday. I mean, I bet even churches are closed on Sunday in Maine. Then people don't do nothing on the weekends. So I got diagnosed on Sunday at VIP, and they diagnosed it as, sorry, there's nothing we can do. It's going to have to go to the Chrysler Garage, which doesn't open till Monday. All right. Now, meanwhile, Ed's working his butt off to get me back home, putting me up in a hotel room while I'm there. I mean, great guy. If anytime I want a vacation, I'm going to go ask Ed if he's got any vans on the way out. And I'll take them. So he put me up in a hotel room. Meanwhile, luckily, in the 5 hours that I was in Maine before the van broke down, I shot 137 pictures. Come to find out, directly across the street from the hotel that I was in was a place called Bird's Acre Bird Sanctuary. Let me see if I can get this right. So you can Google it if you want. It was, I believe it was formerly the Stanwood Wildlife Sanctuary. It's now called Bird's Acre. And they take in mostly birds with, one of them I saw was a Canadian goose that had been born with deformed wings. That'll be there forever. I saw a barred owl that was born with problems in one eye. There was a great horned owl there that I'm not sure what was wrong with. But they just had some falcons. Although the falcon cage they had like plasticed up for the winter. They're getting ready for the winter season up there, just like we are. And along with this little area where they've got all the birds caged, and they've got a little duck pond and stuff that's fenced in. They've got acres and acres of like little nature trails. So me, the afternoon, after I finally got hauled out of Acadia and checked into the hotel, I went over into the bird sanctuary and walked, I don't know, a couple, 3 miles in the bird sanctuary. Beautiful trails, and it seemed to me to be in a little bit of disrepair. Maybe not so much disrepair as just unused. And I can imagine it was just another one of those examples of in the heyday when people went on vacations and actually went out and did stuff like that. It was probably great. But now with lack of funding, and lack of interest, it's being kind of propped up and trying to be expanded and brought back into livelihood by a small group of a small nonprofit group. So beautiful place, and I can imagine with a little bit more work, a little bit more money, a little bit more interest in the place, that it could be a wonderful place to go and spend an afternoon or an entire day just wandering around, wandering the trail, sitting on the little benches, surrounded by wildlife. I mean, it was great. So anyway, that was I finally got back here Monday evening, just in time for the election. So, and I want to tell you, Kendall asked me if I'd hold one of his signs for him, but he didn't need any help, I guess. Wow, what else did I want to talk about today? Let's talk a little bit. It's been such a busy week, and here it is Saturday, and I'm in the studio again. But busy week with all the city meetings. And my mom actually said this morning, she says, she's finding the committee meetings, very interesting. A lot more interesting than the monthly or the bi-monthly city council meetings. Even me, even though I'm at City Hall running the robotics, along with another gentleman named Dave Kirkpatrick. While I'm there, I can't really focus on what's being said because I'm busy, doing my job. I hear the people talking, but I don't take anything in. It's just, like the Charlie Brown teacher, wah, 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 wah. They stop, change camera. When somebody talks, put the camera on them. When they stop talking, put the camera on somebody else. And that's all I'm doing. I'm listening for the voices in the different voices. So I've gotten home, after the meetings, while the other meetings are being replayed, because the way it works on the Thursday night FOP nights is that the FOP meeting starts at 6:30. The FOP broadcast starts at 7 o'clock. So FOP is shown almost live. It's tape delayed. So immediately after the FOP meeting is shown, once FOP ends, then MSFI is broadcast from the previous night. The Wednesday night's MSFI meeting comes directly after FOP. And then when MSFI stops, the PLD meeting from Wednesday is aired. So you've got the whole block of committee meetings you can watch. And even if you're at FOP committee, you can still go home. Sometimes, depending on where you live, you can go home and see the end of FOP committee and then watch the meetings from Wednesday night. So one of the big deals this week has been the Route 9 Base Hill Road intersection, because that's one of the most dangerous intersections in Keene. Trucks, vehicles, and somebody, I believe it was Kendall Lane, that said 1,500 trucks a day come down Route 9 into Keene, or through Keene. But that's a zone where you go from open highway down to 40 miles an hour as you come into the built-up area of Keene. The problem is it doesn't look different than 2 or 3 miles back in the 50-mile-an-hour section. So a lot of people tend to just stay right on it, 50, 55 miles an hour, right through that Base Hill intersection till they come around the corner into where they can see the shopping centers. Then they tend to back off there. So, the state came in this week and said that there are some options. One option would be to close Base Hill Road off. Not very good, because it's a long way up and around. Another option was to have no left turns or straight across from Base Hill Road. Right turn onto Route 9, from both sides of Base Hill Road. Which, that maybe could work. The problem is if you're coming out of Base Hill Road on the Swansea side, and you take a right turn, if you want to go back towards Brattleboro, you have to go down to the Home Depot intersection and either make a U-turn at the intersection or actually pull down one of the side streets, Production Ave, or the other side, and then come back out to the light and go back the other way. But on the western side of Base Hill Road, there's no quick place to do a U-turn. And now, the first thing I thought was build some sort of a U-turn up at Base Hill Road. Or not Base Hill Road, at Whitcomb Mill Road. But then you just put in the same type of scenario further up the highway. So, one of the other options was to put a traffic light there. Then you've got, for one thing, when the light's red, traffic backs up the hill. So everybody has to stop on the downhill. That's not such a good thing. So, traffic light, probably out. The other idea, and I know it's one of those things that people just hate, just hearing the word, roundabout. And from what I've heard in the short amount of time and what I've thought is, yeah, even though, roundabouts are a pain in the ass, they're, in this situation, I believe that's exactly what's called for. And a lot of people say, we don't want the single lane roundabout like in Peterborough that we're going to want a big 2-lane roundabout. And I'm thinking, maybe not. Maybe we don't want a 2-lane. Maybe we need a nice, tight intersection. A little tight circle, and then all the way up that hill, you put the rumble strips, and you've seen them as you come off. I'm trying to think when you come off 89 onto Route 9 out in Henniker, you see that. They've got them going down the hill in Peterborough, the little rumble strips. A lot of places have started using those rumble strips on the breakdown lane side of the road. And more you're starting to see, I've noticed up in Maine, they use them a lot on the center line and the breakdown. Because they make a hell of a racket when you run over them. And they're not actually bumps in a road. They're actually milled out slots. So that when you go over them, it makes a different sound. They've had them on the interstate highways all the time. Because when I was driving truck, that was how I would wake my partner up for his shift. I would just kind of drift over. And he'd come flying out, and I'd be like, your turn. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Put in a roundabout, a nice tight one. That forces people to slow down. Another thing you can do is put a huge railroad gate there. A couple of railroad gates scattered in that will drop. Lights will flash. Anything that gets in a driver's path will slow him down. I know you can't put railroad gates. But yeah, big flashing lights, caution, dangerous intersection, slow down. But that's the thing. When you put the roundabout in, people have to slow down. Because you can't take a roundabout at 60, 70 miles an hour. You have to slow down. And the tighter, smaller roundabout you make it, the slower people are going to have to go. It really solved the problem on Court Street. And you can't tell me it didn't. People have to slow down right there in front of the hospital. Where before, you could just fly by the hospital. Now people slow right down. And it's a beautiful thing. So, anyway. It's a beautiful Saturday out. Little on the chilly side. But, the weather's been weird. We had 16 inches of snow. Like I said, I went up there to Bar Harbor, Maine. They had no snow. What's with that? Southern New Hampshire's getting snow. And I mean, we had 16 inches of snow. There were still green leaves on the trees. It's weird. Apparently that's all part of the global warming thing, Or global cooling thing. Wait. Sunday's supposed to be in the 60s. November 13th. Going to be in the 60s. Maybe that's the global warming side. But yet Friday evening, we had a mix of rain and like chunks of slush. And it was cold and damp and raw. I don't know. Maybe it's just in the normal patterns of things. I don't know. Hey, I thought of something, and I'm not sure if it's a good point or not a good point, but it was just one of those things that I was thinking while I was driving, and I drive a lot, so I think a lot, and it dawned on me because for some reason I was thinking about the whole terrorism thing and and the fact that terrorists have to buy weapons, and is it hypocritical for a Muslim terrorist to buy weapons with American money because it says "In God We Trust"? I don't know. That's just one of those things that it runs through my head, and I go, I wonder how that works. Oh well, just something to think about for next time. So, anyway, let me give you the email, because if you want to email me, you can email me at talkingaw@cheshiretv.org. You can go on my Talking Awe Facebook page. You can check out my Rick Blood fine art photography page, because I've got one of those too, where I showcase all my nice photos that I've taken. And next week, I'll have a nice slideshow as a Thanksgiving present to y'all. So, until then, hang in there, be good, treat each other right. Peace.